name was Frog Boy, and he was the weird kid at this one school. Froggy, Puggy Wuggy. Every single day before class, he would be in the woods behind the school, catching frogs, lizards, and raising tadpoles in a Home Depot bucket. Grow, little tadpoles. Grow into frogs. And every day he would walk into class smelling like pond water. Yo, Frog Boy smells extra froggy today. But in class, he would have so much pent-up energy. He couldn't sit still, and every single teacher knew this. Kevin, why don't you go take a lap around the school, okay? Okay. They would often let him leave school and run around the building and come back to tire himself out. In different classes, other kids would be doing math, and they would look out the window to see Frog Boy running by. 2 plus 2 is 6. He would also just do crazy stuff, like one week he super glued all the woodshop tools to the wall. It's a masterpiece. My tools! Another week he went into the kitchen and spread flour everywhere. It looks like it snowed in here. My kitchen! And it was like that for a long time. Well, fast forward years later. One of his old classmates is at home scrolling through his phone when he stumbles on a viral motocross clip. Yo, that's sick. It's a clip of a guy on a dirt bike going off this huge ramp and doing a backflip. That's when the old classmate realizes, wait, that's frickin' Frog Boy! Frog Boy was now a professional motocross rider, and he was very rich. I'm just happy he used his energy for something awesome like that. Hey, go Frog Boy. It started over a jelly donut. No, that's my donut. I bought it. It was the last one. Yeah, but I was technically in line before you. Yeah, but then you went to the bathroom because you had to take a dump. Steven, you told her? It's the truth. They argue and argue. They start shoving. Then the donut drops on the floor and somebody steps on it. It's no good. It turned into this big thing. Apparently, the school had began picking sides. Nobody even knows what it's about. So now it's two large groups of people. At the front are the two girls, and they just start brawling. And the kids who aren't involved are just watching, like, dude, this is messed up, we gotta leave. Okay, let's go. Well, as those two try to leave the cafeteria, two plainclothes cops come in. You're not going anywhere. Nobody's going anywhere. But by this point, it was out of control. The large fighting crowd makes its way outside, and now they're fighting in front of the school. Hundreds of kids shouting, fighting, people recording it. The security guard gets knocked over. Ouch! Ouch! Somebody pulls the frickin' fire alarm, and that's when it happens. Like 10 cop cars just storm in. They get out of their car. They're wearing helmets and shields, and that's when all the students realized, oh, we should probably stop. But everyone that was involved in the fighting got into huge trouble. Let's just say for the next week, attendance was very low. He pre-ordered a cake for his mom's birthday. Okay, I'll pick it up soon. It was a custom order. He walks into the bakery, gives the pickup name, Carlos. Okay, I have your cake right here. Then a woman steps closer to him. Hi, that's a really nice cake. It is, right? Can I have it? No, sorry, it's a custom-made cake. But custom-made cakes take so long, I want yours. The guy just turns his back to walk away, but this woman turns him around. Okay. No, don't walk away from me. Excuse me? Give me that cake right now. Absolutely not. It's my mom's birthday cake. Well, me and my kid want it more than your mom. This guy sees the kid buyer and looks at him. Leave me out of this. The kid doesn't even care. The worker comes over. Hey, what's going on in here? I want that cake. The worker says no, so this woman tackles the guy. Hey man, run! Take your cake and get out of here! The guy then escapes the shop with the cake, while this woman and the worker are fighting on the floor. The cops were called, and that woman was arrested. But seriously, who crashes out that hard over a cake? Doesn't make any sense to me. She's nuts. It snowed heavily overnight. It's now early morning, and this retired guy is snow blowing his driveway. Milk, milk, milk. He clears his driveway, then he does his neighbors to the left, and then his neighbors to the right. He usually does those, just as a neighborly friendly thing, because they're also old. He parks the machine, goes inside, and puts on The Sopranos. Hey, gabagool. Tony's gabagool. The doorbell rings. He opens it, and it's a woman from like 5 doors down. She just moved in. Hi, why haven't you done our driveway yet? I'm gonna be late for work. I saw you do these two. When's ours gonna be done? Ma'am, this is not a service. I do a favor for these two because they're old, like me, but I still got my good knees. I'm sorry. You would think she'd be like, oh my gosh, how dumb of me. How dare I assume that you're gonna do our driveway? But no. Well, we're your neighbors too. Can you please snow blow our driveway? She's standing there, appalled. No. Slams the door in her face, goes back to his chair, and presses play to resume The Sopranos. It's Tony Soprano. Gabagool. That lady's out of her mind. My home office has a window, and it directly faces my neighbor's living room window, 3 feet away. That was Toby. And for 6 months, Toby has not worked a single day without being watched. Every morning at 9 a.m. as Toby's sitting down at his desk to begin his work from home assignments, a tabby cat named Barnaby would take his position in his neighbor's living room windowsill, directly across from Toby. And the cat wouldn't sleep. He would just stare at Toby, right in his eyes, every day. It kind of creeped him out. It was this cat's routine. Well, by month 3, Toby kind of snapped. He decided if the cat wanted a show, he was gonna give him a show. It started with Toby finding a video titled Video for Cats, and he turned it around and faced it right towards Barnaby. Well, Barnaby wasn't impressed. The next day, Tony danced for Barnaby. It wasn't good, but he danced. Barnaby perked up. You could tell. He was responding to this. Well, the next day, he put on a puppet show. I'm a puppet. Me too! Oh, look, there's a cat. Now, I also want to mention that Barnaby was an indoor-outdoor cat. One night, as Toby was going to the store, he opens his front door and he sees a dead mouse sitting there on his porch. He got rid of the mouse, but every day after that, he kept receiving more and more items. A neighbor's gardening glove, a Hanes sock, a literal $1 bill. So he installed a camera doorbell to see what was going on, and he found the culprit. It was Barnaby, leaving gifts for Toby every night. It was like he was paying him for this entertainment he's been receiving. And ever since that day, Toby and Barnaby were best friends. Barnaby always sat in that opposite windowsill. Toby was always at his desk working, until one day Barnaby wasn't there. Toby was concerned. The next day, again, Barnaby, nowhere to be seen. So he goes over to his neighbor's house, knocks on the door. Barnaby had passed away. And Toby was heartbroken. Rest in peace, Barnaby. This kid, let's call him Steven. He spent an entire year saving up. We're talking birthday money, pulling weeds, every $5 bill he could find. He didn't use that money to buy games or food or candy or nothing. He bought a gallon of slate gray paint, some shelves, a desk, and some other things. He spent his entire spring break sanding the floors of his room, painting the walls, setting up his desk and his computer, all by himself. And by the time he was done, he had the best room in the entire house. I did it. Steven then went to a 3-day science camp. Well, on Sunday, when it was over, he gets dropped off back at his house, and he enters through the garage. And in the garage, he sees it. His desk, his bed, his shelves, just sitting there in the middle of the garage. What is going on? So he sprints upstairs. Well, the door to his room is locked, and he hears music coming from it. Well, his sister finally opens it. The gray paint was gone. It had been covered in a cheap coat of white, and his sister's ring light was right by the window. Her bed was there, with pink bedding. It was completely different. That's when his dad came out. Oh yeah, son, by the way, we moved your stuff out of your room. We figured your sister could have a better use for it. You see, his sister was a wannabe TikTok content creator, and he said her content was suffering because her old room had no natural light. And since Steven fixed up the room so nicely, it was the perfect studio for her. Where am I supposed to go? Well, your stuff's in the garage, son. Why don't you go build something in there? He spent his own money to renovate a room that he wasn't even allowed to keep. Another instance of horrible parents. There's a big difference between Oak Street and Oak Avenue, and it changed this one kid's life. He was told to meet at this house for a study group. The address was 124 Oak Avenue, but when he put it in his GPS, he put 124 Oak Street, which is a completely different house. Pulled up, he went to the door and he knocked. Oh, you must be one of the neighbor boys. Come on in, this old lady answered. Kid's like, this doesn't seem like my study group. And it wasn't, but he just went along with it. Have a seat, I'm making cookies. Oh, okay. He sits down, she pours him a glass of milk, and he had a bite of a cookie. This is the best cookie I've ever had. Glad you like it. And they sat there for an hour and a half, just chatting. She told him stories about being in school in the 50s and their school dances. He even pulled out his book and studied there for a bit. It was productive, and him and this grandma lady connected. You see, this woman lived alone. Her grandchildren had all graduated and moved out of the town. She was lonely, and this kid's grandma had passed away 2 years ago. So it was like a connection. Are you sure you've had enough food? Yes, it was delicious, and thanks for helping me study. Of course. Come back whenever. And he did. Once a month, he would go over there for cookies and a study session. And he realized, in most classrooms, misbehavior gets you a warning or a detention. Well, back in the 80s, it was something completely different. In this classroom, any deviation from the system, like talking too much or misbehaving, throwing stuff, spitballs, it required a physical debt. Hey! Kyle, spitball! The teacher didn't make them sit in a corner or put a goofy hat on. Next to his desk on the floor laid a sheet of coarse sandpaper. One mistake, you had to get up there and kneel down on the sandpaper. And you weren't just kneeling, you were working. You had to stay in that exact position while your knees grinded onto the grit while you had to write massive amounts of words. And what you normally did is there were a list of 30 words, and you had to write each word 10 times. The punishment was designed to make them try to write fast, because the longer you took to write these words, the longer you had to kneel. It's actually incredibly horrifying, and it would completely not fly today. I can't believe that's what they did back then. Eventually, they stopped doing that, thank God. But that teacher never got in trouble because, well, it was the 80s. All right, class, first we dissect, then eat. This biology teacher had a side job as a chef, and apparently he was pretty good. Well, the kids in his biology class would frequently have these days, dissection days, where you would dissect frogs, cats, I don't know. But most of the time, the teacher would order a bunch of squid from the local market. The squid would be thawed out, raw, and passed out to every student. All right, you should all have a worksheet and a squid. You have 25 minutes. Get to dissect it. Everybody would dissect the squids. They would use the ink to write messages to each other. It sounds kind of fun if you like that kind of stuff. But then the teacher would do something different. He would pull out a George Foreman portable grill from underneath his desk, plug it in, and preheat that baby. Then he would collect all these squids from each lab table, bring them up, season them, and toss them on the grill. Oh, it's smelling good. The first time he did this, the students thought he was absolutely insane. They're like, there's no way we're gonna eat that. But then someone tried it. Wait, that's actually good. Let me try. That is good. I guess the way he cooked this squid was just delectable, and they were constantly looking forward to these days. And although it sounds weird, I think that's a good teacher. The biggest loss of aura in school history. This kid built his whole reputation off of basketball. He wasn't on the team, but he would always say he was really good. He carried a basketball around with him everywhere. Hey, what's up, guys? At lunch or in class, whenever he was chilling, he would be spinning the ball on his finger. Yo, check this out. Cool, huh? And people did think it was cool. And he would always say, "No, I don't want to be on the basketball team. Too much commitment. I just play in my backyard." Oh, okay. Yeah, the team is trash though anyway. Then the pep rally comes up. The principal goes, "Alrighty, students, now it's time for the free throw challenge. Let's get somebody who's not on the team up here. See what you can do." And everybody volunteers this kid. Hey, come on, man. He'll do it. Yeah. He'll totally do it. The entire school knows him, so the entire gym is cheering so loudly. This kid gets up there. He's already got a basketball with him. Right. He takes his first shot. And he misses. Crowd's like, what? He brushes it off. It's a joke. It's a joke. Give me the ball. Misses again. And again. And again. He can't make one hoop. Now the cheers stopped. And the laughing began. Everyone's yelling at him, calling him a fraud, calling him a loser. Dude, you actually suck. He sucks. Kid begins crying. He was all talk, forever. Everyone thought he was a basketball god. Turns out, he's trash. He runs out of the gym, and he never comes to school with a basketball ever again. When she was a teenager, her dad was driving her to work at Dairy Queen. They're in the car. All right, sweetie, this is gonna be a good day. Ugh, I hate working. It's a normal ride so far. Then, out of nowhere, this woman cuts them off on the road. Most people just honk, then move on, but not this dad. He locks in, and he chases her down. They finally get to this red light. He pulls up to the right of her. Rolls his window down, and leaps out of the car right under her windshield. Apologize to me right now! Apologize to me right now! Screaming, flailing, right on her windshield. Now, he didn't put the car in park, so you know when you're not driving, the car just goes by itself very slowly. So this girl is in the car, her dad's on somebody else's car, and the car is just rolling slowly into the intersection. So she has to put her foot over the driver's seat and press the gas herself. Once her dad calms down, he gets back in the car and drives her to work like nothing happened. Have a good day, sweetie. Later that night, when everybody's home, they get a knock on the door while they're watching TV. I'll get it. It's the police. Hi, is your dad home? Dad, you're going to jail. And he was arrested. Makes sense. These two best friends were next door neighbors. They decided they didn't want to walk around the fence to see each other anymore. So they were going to dig a secret underground tunnel connecting one yard to the other. They started by the shed. I'm digging. They spent 2 weeks while their parents were at work. They both thought they were geniuses. Bro, we're geniuses. Tell me about it. Shoveling, pickaxing, hauling dirt out in wheelbarrows. Well, they were about 6 feet deep and 10 feet across when one of the kids pickaxed something solid. What was that? I don't know. Keep going. They shouldn't have kept going. Instead, he hit this thing again and again and again until burst. Water spraying everywhere. Ah! Bro, this is so bad. It was the water main, the main pipe, and the backyard began to flood. They ran out of that hole. The water didn't stop either. It kept going. The fire department showed up. And then the city workers. And they're like, what the heck is going on here? We were trying to build a tunnel to each other's houses. Where are your parents? They're at work. For the rest of the summer, that kid's yard had to be dug up and they had to repair that pipe. His parents were obviously upset, but they kind of blamed themselves. How did we not know he was digging a tunnel in our backyard? Yeah, that was my question too. That's insane. Careful where you dig. Every kid has a moving out phase. On this day, this kid's mom was yelling at him, telling him to clean his room, eat his broccoli, normal stuff. But he got fed up. Fine, if my room is so messy, I'm moving out. And he expected his mom to cry and be like, no, don't move out, I'm so sorry. The mom just said, okay. The suitcase is in the attic. Suddenly, she called his bluff. Okay, I'm gonna go get it. He knows she called his bluff, but he wants to see how far he can take it, so he starts packing. Then suddenly, the mom is helping him pack. Oh, don't forget your toothbrush, honey. I'll even drive you to the end of the street if you want. I'll pack you a sandwich too, so you don't starve tonight. No, it's fine, I'll walk. Now, 5 minutes later, this kid's standing at the edge of the driveway with his suitcase full of random stuff his mom helped him pack. His mom locked the front door. Close the garage. Kid begins to walk away, hoping that they're watching him, hoping they'll beg for him to come back. But they don't. So he turns around, knocks on the door. Oh, hi, sweetie. Did you forget something? I don't want to move out, Mom. I'll clean my room. The room gets cleaned in record time. Has this ever happened to any of you guys? When this kid was in 5th grade, his teacher had one really strict rule. She never repeated herself. She would explain things once, and if you didn't hear it, well, too bad. Well, one day, the class was working on a really big assignment that was due the next day. The teacher stood up and said, all right, listen up. I'm only saying this once. Then she explained the instructions in one long, fast speech. The second she was done, this kid, let's call him Ralph, raised his hand. Excuse me, can you just repeat that last part, please? Ralph, what's the rule? You don't repeat yourself? Exactly, so figure it out. A few minutes later, Ralph was tapped in the shoulder by one of his classmates. Hey, I got you, man. I wrote all of it down. Here. He took the notes, relieved, super thankful, and he started copying them down on his own piece of paper. And he thought that that was the end of it, but it wasn't. The teacher came over and snatched the notes off his desk. Absolutely not. If you didn't listen the first time, that's your problem. Are you kidding me? Well, Jake just sat there silent, didn't say a word. The next day, the class turned in that assignment that was due. Once the teacher was done grading it, she said, you didn't turn anything in. Yeah, because I didn't hear the instructions. Well, that's a 0, and you're a... What did you say? You heard me? No, what did you say? I'm sorry, miss. I don't repeat myself. I mean, it was crazy, but it kind of worked because from that day on, the teacher went easy on Ralph, and she even let him do that assignment over again. This kid had terrible handwriting. Like, teachers would sigh whenever they saw his papers. Good Lord! So when this kid's class had to turn in a handwritten essay, he decided he was gonna actually try. I'm gonna actually try. So the night before it was due, he sat down. He had his pencil there, and he was ready to get to work. He took his time. If a word was sloppy, he erased it. And he did it again. Slowed the letters down. He was doing a really good job. The next day, he turned it in proud. It wasn't perfect, but it was way, way better than how he usually writes. Well, get this. The teacher looks at it and goes, whose handwriting is this? Mine. You proud of me? No, your handwriting has never looked like this. Somebody wrote this for you. Who did it? I promise you, I wrote it. No, you didn't. This is cheating. Cheating? No, it's handwriting. I worked hard to make my handwriting better. So now you're getting smart with me. All right, I'm writing you up. She drags him into the hallway. She's lecturing him about academic honesty. He tries to say, listen, I practice. You told me to practice. She doesn't believe him. She calls home. The mom shows up. She knows how hard her son worked on this. class. She's furious. Okay, so my son is in trouble because he tried? He worked on his handwriting and now he's getting written up? Are you out of your mind? It doesn't make sense. The handwriting progress was too fast. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. They bring in the principal and they make this kid write a paragraph in front of them to prove that he actually did write this essay. He sits down, he writes it. It took him a long time, but he did it. It was the same improved handwriting. The principal looks at the teacher. You owe him an apology. Teacher, red-faced, mumbling, I'm sorry for accusing you. Sure. They left, he gets an A on the paper, and she never confronts him about anything ever again. After that year, she retired. This kid named Matt was spending the night at his friend's house for the first time. They had been best friends since the start of the year, but he had actually never stayed at his house before. Everything was pretty normal at first. Pizza, video games, all that. Before bed, the dad walks into their room and says, all right, boys, remember, no flushing the toilet after 10 p.m., okay? Matt just laughs. He thinks the guy's joking. This ain't no joke, son. I'm serious. If you have to go, go, but don't flush until morning. Then he just walks out. What's that about, dude? Yeah, man, my dad's really strict about the water bill. He says flushing at night's a waste. Bro, what if I gotta dump one? You just don't, okay? Alright, weird, but whatever. Matt and this kid go to sleep. Fast forward to 2 a.m. Matt wakes up, and of course, he's gotta go to the bathroom. He tries to hold it, but it's impossible. His stomach is rumbling, if you catch my drift. But finally, he sneaks out of bed. He heads to the bathroom. He's extra quiet. He does his business and then stands up. When he stands up and looks into the toilet, he's debating. Should I flush or not? There's literal in there. He's gonna flush. This is stupid. Big mistake. Within seconds, he hears footsteps. Fast footsteps. Coming straight for the bathroom. Before he can even react, the door swings open. His friend's dad is wide awake, standing there, staring at him. Get out. Okay, I'm going back to sleep. No. Get out of my house. Alright. It was 2 a.m. He had to call his parents, wake them up, and they had to come get him. He told his parents what happened, and they never let him go to his best friend's house ever again. This kid and his mom and dad were kayaking one day, and they get home late. They park at the lake house, and they leave the kayak strapped to the top of the car. Nobody thought twice about it. Well, this kid is waking up at 3 a.m. His dad's creeping into his room. Dad, what's going on? His dad, peeking out the window, says, shh, don't move. The mom then appears, dead serious. Come on. They head downstairs, and the dad gets on the phone with 911.
911, what's your emergency?
And then the front door slams open so hard, the entire house hears it, and the mom's voice blasts. Drop that kayak right now! The kid's peeking through the blinds, and there she is, barefoot, standing in the driveway, holding a large butcher knife, screaming at 3 grown men who are literally trying to steal the kayak from the top of the car. They also have knives. The dad sees this happening, and he freaks out. Hold on, 1 second. Sandy! What are you doing? The mom's out there just slashing this knife around. The 3 thieves freak out, and they run away into the woods. The police finally arrive. So what happened here? Here's a knife. I scared them away. They were trying to steal the kayak. Now talk to my husband. I'm going to bed. And that was that. What a frickin' legend. So this one dude in this one class was huge. Tall, wide, and the way he would eat food was an operation. I know what I like. He would show up to class with a full row of cookies, 20-something, and he would stack them perfectly on one side of his desk. Then the system began. He would take 1 bite from the top cookie and put it to the right side of his desk. The next cookie, 1 bite, then on top of the cookie that's on the right side of his desk. Then the next, down the entire row. Each cookie with exactly 1 bite out of it, stacked on top of each other. When the whole tower has migrated to the right side, he didn't stop. He would just restart the cycle. A new bite off the top cookie moved to the left side of the desk. Then the other one. A new bite, then stacked on top of the cookie on the left side of the desk. Do you get what I'm saying here? Cookie, bite, stack, cookie, bite, stack. And he keeps restarting this process. Well, 15 minutes of rhythmic biting and stacking later, the entire tower of cookies was just gone. Desk wiped clean, 0 crumbs, like it never happened in the first place. And obviously, everyone in class saw him do this, but it was so strange and so weird that nobody ever said anything to him. That's nuts. In 4th grade, these 2 kids decided to ruin someone's life. They didn't mean to, though. It started as a joke. They stayed after class one day, laughing, scribbling in notebook paper. JT, I've been in love with you forever. That's good, that's good. But they didn't sign their names on it. They signed this one girl's. She was a quiet girl, and JT was the class clown. They finished writing the note, and they folded it up. They then put it in JT's desk, and they left. Forgot about it. Until the next morning, they walk into class, and JT is standing up, reading this note. JT, I've been in love with you forever. You make my heart go boom, boom, boom. What? He reads every word, and when he's done, everyone turns to this girl. I didn't write that, I swear. I didn't write that. Nobody believes her. Everyone thinks it's real. She has a full-blown meltdown, and she leaves the classroom. And the two kids stare at their desks. The next few days, she is bullied relentlessly. And one of the boys that wrote the note couldn't take it. Hey, it was me that wrote the note. Me and Kyle. We are so sorry. Why would you do that to me? My life has been horrible this week. I'm so sorry. I'll try to make it right. Those two then announced in front of that entire class that it was actually them, and that people should please be nice to this girl. But it wasn't as easy as that. People still made fun of her, and they realized that even a simple joke could follow somebody around for years. So be careful what you do, and be careful who you do it to. Be nice, everybody. You wrote her up for being sad? She was off task. She was human. You should try it sometime. So this girl's having a rough week. Family stuff, friend drama, just life. She sits down in third period, math class. Doesn't say a word, just starts doing her warm-up problems, but tears are falling from her eyes, quiet and soft. The teacher then walks over to her. Hi, do you need to go to the nurse? Or are you gonna disrupt my class all period? The girl doesn't respond. She just wipes her face and keeps writing. Alright, disruption it is. She writes her up. A full-blown referral. Disruption to learning environment. Ignoring teacher. She then sent her out into the hallway. Not the counselor, not the nurse, to the hallway. And told her to stay there. Later, she shows her mom the slip. Oh my god, sweetie, this is not okay. They punished you for having feelings? The next morning, the mom shows up to the front office. She then walks to the classroom. Class has already started. The teacher looks up. Oh, so crying is disruptive now? You ever heard of empathy, or did they leave that out of your training? This isn't the time or the place. No, I think it is. You humiliated my daughter for feeling something, and you made it public when you wrote her up in front of the entire class. The students are dead silent. Some of them on the edge of their seat like they're watching a frickin' courtroom drama. Print a new referral, this time with your name on it. Come on, sweetie, let's go. And she takes her daughter home for the rest of the day. Please tell me y'all don't have teachers like this. Because that's messed up. So you're all just gonna roast me? It's called growth, sweetie. This one mom had a rule for birthdays. No cake, no presents, not until after the truth session. Every year, the birthday kid had to sit in the middle of the living room, while each family member, siblings, parents, sometimes even grandma, went around and shared one thing they did not like about the birthday kid. You interrupt too much. You always finish the milk and leave the carton in the fridge. I hate you, grandson. It was a roast, but it wasn't funny. One year, this kid Daniel, he turned 11. He walked into the living room already nervous. All right, let's begin. First up was his little sister. You yelled at me when I was on your Minecraft world. Then his mom. You've gotten lazy with your posture this year. Then Dad. You've been selfish lately, son. Just think about that. Daniel's eyes start to water. Oh no, don't cry. This is to help you, not to hurt you. You may have your cake now. Go. And he barely touched the cake. The next year, Daniel pretended to be sick on his birthday to try to get out of this whole thing. But the mom just moved the truth session to his room, and they did it bedside. They said it was character building. He said it was the worst tradition of his life. Participation is 40% of your grade. This teacher had one rule. If you didn't speak out loud during class, in every class, you would lose points. Didn't matter if you turned in everything. Didn't matter if you tried. If you didn't raise your hand and talk, she would dock you. And one kid, let's call him Aaron, he was trying. He had anxiety. He hated talking in class, but he tried. Miss, I know I don't talk much, but I listen and I do the work and I work hard. Well, that's not how life works, Aaron. If you want a grade, you gotta speak up. Aaron didn't like this, so he started tracking everything. Every time he raised his hand, he wrote it down. Every time he raised his hand and got skipped, he wrote that down. Every time the same 3 loud kids dominate every conversation, he wrote that down as well. Everything was getting documented by Aaron. Well, grades are updated, and his is a C. The reason? Non-participation. The next day, he stays after class. Hey, I saw my grade. You need to speak more, Aaron, I told you. Well, you need to stop ignoring me. Or fix your rule, because look at this. He drops a folder on her desk. Pages, timestamps, dates, secret selfies of him actually raising his hand. You say it's about participation, but I've been trying. I've been participating. This system doesn't make any sense. There are days where you just don't call on me. You can go. And he leaves. He thought that he got nowhere with that. But the next week, his grade was silently changed to an A. I think he actually got to that teacher. Because honestly, when I was in school, I hated that type of rule as well. People learn differently, and people participate differently. You gotta respect all of it. You're gonna regret this. Get out of my class. So this kid sprains his leg during soccer practice. Doctor gives him crutches, a note, clear instructions. But his teacher, she never liked him. She thinks he's dramatic, thinks he's lazy. He walks into class on crutches, and she just stares at him. You don't need those. Stop milking it. He tries to explain, but she just cuts him off. If you want attention, do it on your own time. Give me those. She takes his crutches and locks them into a cabinet. He stares at her, calm, and just says, "You're gonna regret this." And for the rest of the day, he walks all day on his hurt leg. He doesn't ask for help. He's not complaining. He's limping. He winces, but he keeps moving. Well, that night, his leg is on fire. The next morning, he's back at the doctor. It's worse now. He has a hairline fracture because he was walking on it so much, because the teacher took his crutches. Oh, it's about to get bad for this teacher. The next morning, he walks into class again, with crutches, a medical boot now, and another doctor's note. He doesn't sit. He doesn't yell. Just stands in front of the whole class and says, "So I watched the rest of the day like you told me to?" Well, turns out that refractured my injury. I'll be on crutches another 6 weeks now, so thank you for that. The whole class is silent. She tries to speak, but the door opens and the principal walks in. "Hi, Miss Harding. I need to speak with you. Please bring your things." She freezes. Then she grabs her stuff and heads towards the hallway. And she walks out. She doesn't come back the next day. Or the day after that. She was fired. Karma's up. He punched the teacher. Why? To get out of a quiz. So there was this one history teacher, ex-military, dude was jacked. He biked 10 miles to school every morning, kept an ab roller in the corner of the room, ate beans and spinach for lunch. Dude was built like a protein bar. One day he gives the class a pop quiz. Groans everywhere. That's when Jeff, the biggest kid in class, he was a football lineman, literal boulder with a backpack, he raises his hand. "If I can punch you in the stomach and make you flinch, can we all get 100s on the pop quiz?" Room goes silent, the teacher's staring at him, and he nods. Deal. He stands up, folds his arms behind his back, everyone gets out of the way. Jeff steps forward, winds up, and absolutely drills the teacher in the stomach. The teacher doesn't flinch, doesn't move, he just breathes and says, "Quiz stays. Take your seat, everybody." And that was it. Jeff became the kid that punched the teacher. And the teacher became the guy you never mess with. You want a basic charge or fast? Let's do fast. I need it juiced up by next period. This kid figured out that everyone in his school always had super low battery on their phones. Teachers wouldn't let you charge your phone in class, and half of the outlets were blocked off. By third period, everyone's walking around with like 1% battery. So one day, he shows up to school with a massive portable battery bank. He hides it inside his locker, and he builds a business. $3 for a basic cord charge, $7 for the fast cord charge, $10 for full day priority service. Each cord is labeled blue, slow, red, fast. He's got adapters for every type of phone. He's got a chart in a spiral notebook, and business was booming. People are taking him up on this charging service. He's got sticky notes in every device, this phone for lunch only, this phone charging from lunch till end of day. You know, he was very organized. By the end of this week, he's got regulars. He's got VIPs. One girl even prepaid to have her own charging slot for the entire month to use whenever she wanted to. Kid asks if he can get a charge during science. Yeah, all right, basic or fast? Oh, fast. All right, that's $7. I'll be right back. But then one day, 3 kids show up to his locker in between classes, and they're all huddled around it. One teacher saw this and got very suspicious. She opens it up and finds 6 phones plugged into a glowing battery brick, fast charging cords tangled like spaghetti, and a handwritten menu taped to the door of the locker. Shut down, battery confiscated, parents called. That was it. He was definitely upset, but dang, what a business. In those 2 weeks he ran this, he made over $200. All because he had a good idea and a battery brick. Gotta respect the hustle. What's going on back there? Call a priest! This happened in elementary school. There were two sisters that lived at the top of a very steep hill. And I mean super steep, winding hill. Them at the top. And every morning, the school bus had to climb all the way to the top just to get them. But one morning, one of the sisters gets on looking pale. She sits in the back, she's quiet, the vibes are not good. Well, halfway down the steep hill, she throws up. Hard, loud, full forced, right into the aisle. Her sister sees it and immediately throws up as well. A couple of kids nearby start gagging and then they throw up. And most of them are throwing up in the aisle. And remember, this is going downhill. So as they're puking, this river of vomit is just flowing to the front of the bus. And as the river passes each row, those people begin to throw up, like a chain reaction. Every seat, somebody's adding to the stream. Like it's a contagious situation. Well, the river of vomit reaches the front. That's when the driver, Miss Jeannie, finally notices. She slams on the brake, stands up, turns around and says, "What is going on back here?" Then she sees it and immediately wishes she hadn't. She radios the school. "Oh my god, it smells. We're gonna need all the towels you have and maybe call a priest." When the bus finally pulls up to the school, the principal and the nurse are waiting. Jeannie opens the door to the bus and the puke starts to pour out of it. That's how much was in there. Eventually, everybody gets off the bus, but the smell follows them into the school. And I kid you not, kids were throwing up in other classrooms just from the scent. And that day went down in history. What a frickin' nightmare. Attendance office. "Yeah, I'm calling about the high school for sale." "Excuse me?" So this kid lists the entire high school on Craigslist. Yep, puts it up there just like a house. Multiple acres, Olympic-sized track, full gym, swimming pool, great natural light. And for the contact number, he puts down the attendance office. On purpose, because everyone hated the receptionist. So for the next 3 days, she's just picking up like, "Attendance office. Hi, yeah, I saw the listing for the property. Is it still available?" What listing? The high school for sale with a pool?" Call after call, people asking for showings. One guy said, "Yeah, I'm thinking about turning the gym into my own personal dojo. And hey, maybe you could even stop by once it's ready. What do you say, huh? You, me, champagne? Huh?" Oh my god. It got so bad the school had to change the number of the attendance office permanently because these calls kept coming in. And the kid, he never confessed. To that school, he remained anonymous. And there were some copycat Craigslist ads after that, so the calls never really stopped for a while. It eventually fizzled out, but every time that phone rang, the receptionist's heart would sink. That's actually hilarious. So this one high school had a basement. Students didn't really know it existed. It was used for maintenance, storage, stuff like that, and it was always locked. Well, one day, this kid, let's call him Jake, was wandering around the school during his free period when he noticed the door to the basement was kind of ajar. The janitor forgot to lock it, so he goes down there. It was a huge, dusty storage room. Old desks, broken chairs, random junk everywhere. But in the middle of the room, there was this tiny metal box that caught his attention. What is that? So he opens it. Inside the box was a single envelope. He picked it up, felt something inside, and he looked. And what he found in there would make his stomach drop. Oh my god. Inside the envelope was an old student ID. The photo was faded. The name was a name he did not recognize, and the date on it, 1986. Underneath the ID was a set of car keys, and underneath the car keys, a newspaper clipping. The headline, "High school seniors still missing, car found abandoned in school parking lot." He slammed the box shut and ran the heck up the stairs. He was getting out of there. He tried telling a teacher what he saw. The teacher was kind of curious, so she went to the basement door, but it was locked. The janitor walks up. "Hi, can I help you?" "Yeah, one of my students was curious about something in here. Do you mind if I come down here and take a look? Looking for like a metal box or something?" "Oh, sure. Yeah." She goes down there, but there wasn't a metal box to be found anywhere. She thanks the janitor, goes back upstairs, and tells the student, "I don't know what you saw, but there's nothing down there right now, so it must have been your imagination or something. Go to class." But deep down, he knows he came across something very sinister that day. "Hey, you're the guy selling the dresser, right?" "Yes, sir, $40 and it's yours." This guy was scrolling through Craigslist, looking for some cheap furniture, when he found a solid wooden dresser that he really liked. He meets up with the seller, pays him, and hauls the dresser home. Everything seems totally normal, until he opened up the first drawer. "What the heck is this?" And inside that drawer was a Ziploc bag full of teeth. Human teeth. And not just like a couple of teeth. We're talking dozens. Different sizes, shapes, colors, some old and yellow, others perfectly white. What is this? He immediately calls the seller. Hey, yeah, hi. So what's in this dresser? Oh, you found the teeth, huh? Yes, I found the teeth. Why are there teeth in this dresser that you sold me? Listen, man, my grandpa was a dentist and those are his collection, okay? A collection of human teeth. Okay, so why are they in the dresser? Oh, that's just where he kept them. Okay, but why are there so many of them, dude? This is kind of crazy. I don't know, bro. He was really passionate about teeth, okay? Now I got a Caesar salad and Love is Blind to watch. Can I go? Yeah, okay, bye. So this guy did what any normal person would do. He kept the teeth. Why? Well, just in case, that guy's grandpa was a serial murderer. One Saturday morning, this kid's at a grocery store with his mom. They shop a bit, and now they're in the cashier line. Oh, sweetie, I forgot to get a gallon of milk. Can you go get one for me, please? Sure, Mom. It's a simple job, so he goes, he gets the milk, and he's jogging back to the cashier. Well, right when he gets there, he trips, the jug falls out of his hand, and the milk spills everywhere. Under carts, onto shoes, people are so mad, he has no idea how to respond to this. This kid has anxiety. So what he does is he gets down on all fours and he tries to scoop it up. But why would that work? He has nowhere to put it. Then this kid freaks out and he tries to lick it off the floor like he's a freaking house cat. His mom was so stunned she couldn't even speak. Finally, this old guy came over. He had a mop. Kid, move. I'll clean the milk. Mom was so embarrassed, she didn't even buy anything. She left all of her items at the belt, and she left the store with her kid. That's wild. So one day, in the middle of third period, this one high school student stood up, didn't say a word, didn't pack up any of his stuff. He just got up and walked out. The teacher was stunned for a second before yelling, where do you think you're going? And without breaking stride, the kid just said, I've learned enough. The teacher was mad, everyone laughed, but they all assumed he would be back the next day. Except he wasn't. Not the next day, not the next week. But here's the crazy part, it's like the school almost let it happen. People were constantly asking, is he suspended? Did he get expelled? Did he transfer? Nobody had an answer. Well, one day, this concerned student went to the office to ask for himself. Hey, do you have any idea where Johnny's been? Johnny Stevenson? The secretary said, well, it says here that he's still enrolled in the school, so maybe you just missed him. He was still enrolled, but nobody's seen him. He didn't drop out. He was still a student, but nobody had seen him for months. Then at the end of the year, something even weirder happened. It was graduation day. The principal was reading names, and suddenly they read his name. Johnny Stevenson! Everybody froze. People were stunned. There was a long, awkward silence. Then, at the back of the room, Johnny stood up, wearing a full cap and gown. He walked down the aisle, shook the principal's hand, took his diploma, and walked out. And still, nobody knows where Johnny went all that time. Dumbest things people got in trouble for at school. In middle school, this kid's grandma had just passed away, and it was his first day back after the funeral. This is kind of what happened. Did everyone turn their homework in? I only count 17. And there's 20 of us, so who didn't turn their homework in? I didn't. And why didn't you turn it in, Kyle? Did you even do it? You should know this. My grandma just died and I was at her funeral over the weekend. I'm sorry, but I wasn't thinking about homework. Well, that's a shame, Kyle. I'm giving you a 0 for the entire week. Are you dead, Kyle? No. Homework is more important than funerals, as long as you're alive. Well, that pissed him off, and he lost his mind. You are an absolute... My grandma just died. She was my favorite person in the entire world, and I was at her funeral over the weekend, and now you're punishing me for not doing some stupid math assignment? Screw you! I wish you died instead of my grandma. That's it! Go to the office right now. Good heavens. He explained what happened to school administration, but nobody cared. He was suspended for a week. Can I go to the bathroom? You know the rules. This teacher had the worst bathroom policy ever. You weren't allowed to just ask. If you had to go, you had to stand up, walk to the front of the room, and explain why you deserved to go to the bathroom. Those were her words, deserved. He said it was about building confidence and reclaiming classroom trust. Mostly, she just didn't believe students were telling the truth. I've seen too many kids abuse the bathroom. If you really have to go, prove it. And so one day, this kid raises his hand. Usually, he avoids asking this teacher to use the bathroom because he just doesn't want to deal with all this. And during this class, he held it in as long as he could, but he really had to frickin' go. So he asks, Miss, can I go to the bathroom, please? You're gonna have to convince me. I'm not playing with you right now, miss. Can I please just go to the bathroom? I have to go so bad. You know the rules. Get up here and explain why you should go to the bathroom. Okay, fine. Can I do a visual demonstration? Whatever it takes. And yeah, by visual demonstration, that's exactly what he meant. This is your fault. He goes in his pants right then and right there. And the teacher, get this, she gets angry and sends him to the office. Go to the office now. He goes to the office and explains to the principal what had happened. And the principal did not take this lightly. Instead of seeing a kid disobeying a teacher's rule, he sees a teacher refusing to let students use the bathroom when they have to. After that day, in that class, if you had to use the bathroom, you were just allowed to go. And the principal gave that teacher her last warning. Yeah, she sounds horrible. What are you dipping your fries in? Applesauce? Ugh. So one day, this cafeteria lady says, no more salt or pepper, and just straight up takes all the packets of salt and pepper off the cart. Gone. People are like, wait, what? Why? And she says this, it's part of the new health initiative. We're cutting back on sodium. But here's the thing, they did this, but they're still selling Mountain Dew in the vending machine. 52 grams of sugar, fully stocked, vending machine right across from the lunch line. Doesn't make any sense. So now lunch is like unseasoned chicken sandwich, wet green beans, and a bright green bottle of rocket fuel. One kid goes, we can't have salt, but I can buy a code red before math class? Make it make sense. Another kid is literally dipping his fries in applesauce. I'm doing what I can, man. Just trying to survive out here. Ugh. Now this opened up a black market opportunity. Kids started smuggling salt and pepper packets into the lunchroom to sell them. But the lunch aides and the teachers were on it, and everyone who was caught selling this stuff or using it got detentions. It was a battle like this for a while, and guess what? The school never brought salt and pepper packets back. But the Mountain Dew vending machine, it's still glowing right there in the cafeteria. Yo, is anybody home? Oh look, cookies. So when this kid was in school, his parents worked late. So after school, he had to walk home an hour and a half every time his parents worked late. He hated riding the bus, so he said he'd rather walk. So because of this, he would always try to hang out at a friend's house who lived nearby and just get picked up from there later in the night when his parents were off. Well, one day he's walking by that friend's house and he decides to give him a call. No answer, but he remembers where they keep the spare key. For some reason, he can't explain why. He grabs the key and he lets himself in. Starts walking around the house, calling out for his friend. Yo, you home? Hello? Silence. Nobody's there. So he goes to the fridge, makes himself a sandwich, sits down on the couch, and starts watching TV. About 15 minutes in, he realizes, oh my god, I just broke into my friend's house. What am I doing? And it's not just anybody's house. His friend is Russian, and his dad is a scary Russian man who had tons of firearms. He panics, he puts the key back, and he runs out of the house. He gets home safely. His friend calls him back later that day, and he didn't suspect a thing. And he has kept that secret every single day since then. That's crazy.
Okay, so I have the Bulldog ramen, but this time it's 2 times spicy. So I thought this one was spicy, but this one looks crazy.
Now we're gonna boil some water. Now that it's boiling, we put this into the boiling for 5 minutes. It's been 5 minutes, now we drain the water. Now it says to add the 2 times spicy hot sauce. Then you add, last step is the pepper flakes. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so I think if you like spicy stuff, this is gonna be awesome for you. I'm not sure how I'm gonna handle it, so I'm gonna take one bite. Let's see. Delicious, but very, very spicy.
This kid cheated on his test in a genius way. So at his high school, whenever they took a test in a specific class, they would grade all the tests as a class. So you would be grading your own paper. But the teacher would make sure that you only had a red pen at your desk. So when you were grading your own paper, you could only use a red pen. Well, this kid had a brilliant idea. He never studied for tests. He said he didn't really want to. So what he did in this class was he took his red pen, opened it up, took out the red ink pen thing, and replaced that with a black ink pen thing. Looks like a red pen, but it's actually black. So when the teacher is giving out the answers and the students are grading their tests in the red pen, this guy would be fixing everything he got wrong. And it would look like he was grading his test, when in reality, he was changing his answers. He said this worked every single time, and he got an A on every single test in that class. Another stupid school rule, and this one's absolutely ridiculous. This kid's 8th grade teacher had one dumb, crazy rule. You were only allowed to use the bathroom 3 times per semester. Not 3 times per week, not 3 times per month, 3 times per semester. And if you hit that limit, too bad. One day this kid raised his hand. Hey, can I go to the bathroom? The teacher sighed. You've already gone 3 times. Well, I drink a bunch of water today like a human being and I have to go to the bathroom. Well, that's too bad. You should have planned better. Hold it. This dude was absolutely fuming, and he said screw it. A few minutes later, he stood up and walked towards the door. Excuse me, where do you think you're going? The bathroom. If you leave this classroom, you will be sitting in detention, young man. He paused, looked back at her and said, that's fine. I'd rather sit in detention than sit in my own piss. And he walked out. The entire class erupted. Oh, nice! Teacher was speechless. She even started crying a little bit. After that day, the school forced her to change that bathroom rule, and they launched an investigation into her teaching methods. As they should.
So teachers are starting to realize that kids are using ChatGPT. There's a website called Quillbot, which you'll go here and get the paper. Then you take it from there, put it on Quillbot. Then Quillbot makes it seem like you wrote it, so the school cannot track.
Not anymore. Quillbot is detectable, as you can see right here. I mean, this is the proof. Quillbot does not work anymore, but there is a solution. Use this tool instead to beat Turnitin and GPT-0, and it's completely free. It's called Grubby AI, and it's an incredibly effective AI text humanizer that is 100% undetectable by AI detectors. School's right around the corner, and I think this thing's gonna save your life. So one day in 7th grade, this kid got called into the principal's office. He had no idea why. He walks in, sits down, and the principal just stared at him. The principal asks, so, you want to tell me what you did? The kid's confused. I have no idea what you're talking about. That's when the teacher walks in, and she looks pissed. Don't play dumb, you know exactly what you did. Now the kid's kind of panicking. I swear I don't know, what did I do? You skipped my class yesterday, but I know you were at school because I saw you before and after lunch. What were you doing? Huh? Probably something illegal. But here's the thing. He was literally in her class yesterday. No, I wasn't. I was in class. I was sitting on my usual seat. You're crazy. I took attendance, and you were not there. Detention. Now at this point, this kid is super frustrated. He already did not like this teacher. Now she's accusing him of skipping her class for whatever reason. So he asks the principal one simple question. You have security cameras in every hallway, right? Of course we do, yeah, for the safety of the school. Then check them. The room goes silent. The teacher grows pale because she knows she messed up. They send the kid to sit outside the office while they looked at the cameras, and 15 minutes later, they called him back in. We checked the footage. You were in class. I know. You can go. I'll handle your teacher. But as he was walking away from the office, he could hear the principal yelling at the teacher. Now why on God's green earth would you make something like that up?
Oh, I didn't.
You better shut your mouth.
You want thin ice? You want thin ice?
Senior year, somebody pulled the most evil school prank anyone has ever seen. It started during first period in math class. Dead quiet, the teachers were writing notes on the board, and out of nowhere, faintly, you heard Baby Shark Song. What is that? The whole class looks up, the teacher stops writing. Whoever's playing that, turn it off! Then the music cuts off and everyone's confused for a second. Then 10 minutes later it happens again, but it's louder this time. Yo, what is going on? This time, it wouldn't stop. The song was on repeat. People are laughing, the teachers are losing their minds, and the staff is looking for where this is coming from. Nobody could find it. And then a little bit later, it gets worse. The song is playing everywhere. It's obviously coming from multiple different speakers. In the science room, in the bathrooms, above the cafeteria, and every single speaker is synced together. And it disrupts the entire school day because kids can't focus, teachers can't teach. Every time they find one speaker, the other ones get louder. Apparently, the seniors had hidden these Bluetooth speakers in ceiling tiles, nooks, crannies behind lockers. There was even one in the trophy case. It took almost 3 full hours to find each and every one of them. Let's just say every single student and teacher in that school had Baby Shark stuck in their head for at least a month after that. That, my friends, is genius. An old man was lying in his bed, dying, when he smelled his favorite cookies being made. he rolled out of bed, crawled into the kitchen, and saw the cookies sitting on a tray on the table. And with all of his strength, he reached to grab a cookie. That's when his wife smacked his hand and said, "What are you doing? Those are for the funeral. Get back in your bed." It started with strawberry milk. Cafeteria strawberry milk. Everyone knew this one kid loved it. I freaking love it. So one day, his friend group makes a deal. Alright, so for every strawberry milk carton you finish, we'll all pay you $1. $1 per milk? Easy. So kids start sliding in these strawberry milk cartons across the table. And now he's got a bunch in front of him. Guys, this is gonna be awesome. I love strawberry milk. The first carton goes down easy. The second carton, still good. Third carton, confidence is growing. I got this. Alright, it's $3 so far, man. By the time lunch is halfway over, there's a crowd forming around him, cheering for him. Come on, man, you got this. That's really impressive. Milk! That's $15 so far, man. The kid keeps drinking. The money keeps stacking. Carton number 18. He stops in his tracks. Silence. And then it happens. A violent, unstoppable stream of neon pink vomit explodes across the lunch table, covering trays, shoes, people's faces. Everyone begins to scatter, running away from this horrible scene. He got to keep the money. But ever since that day, he has not been able to drink milk ever again, and strawberry milk was his favorite. It's kind of sad. This is wild. So this couple lives in an old house. Winter hits and the mice show up. And this is pretty normal. She has a full operation to catch these mice every single year. She has mouse traps hidden everywhere. She checks them twice a day and they're constantly being reloaded. And the bait she uses? Peanut butter. The mice love it. Yeah, I love it. I love it. At first, they only had one peanut butter jar that they used. And for every trap, she would use a clean knife. So she would go in, set the trap, throw this knife into the sink, grab a new knife, take the peanut butter, set the trap, watch that one. So she's never double dipping the mice knife into the peanut butter so it doesn't get contaminated. It's too many dishes, it's too much work, but then she finds this peanut butter jar in the cabinet, the kind that her husband hates. Hey, I found this peanut butter jar in the cabinet. Do you mind if I use it for the mouse traps? Yeah, it's totally fine. She writes in the lid in big letters, mouse only. She puts that on the sides as well. It's impossible to miss. And now she was finally able to double dip the knife in the peanut butter to set the traps. So this peanut butter is now fully contaminated with like mice cooties. Well, weeks later, her husband's eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. He calmly says, "You know, I really don't like creamy peanut butter." She freezes. "Which jar did you use?" "That one. The frickin' mouse jar. That's the peanut butter I use to set the mouse traps. It is 100% contaminated." He loses his frickin' mind. "I'm losing my frickin' mind right now. That's disgusting." He says she should have hidden this jar. How would he know that it was for the mice? "Because I wrote mouse only all over it." She points out that he agreed to this. It was labeled, and he ignored everything. He was angry at her for weeks, but she did nothing wrong. This one is on him. In 8th grade, this art teacher had a locked cabinet in the back of the room. It was kind of mysterious. She never talked about it. But once a week, she would go back there, unlock it, take out a small handful of things, and walk away. Kids would whisper, wondering what's inside. Is it expensive paints? Ancient artifacts? Animals? Well, one semester, this student named Riley was picked to stay after school one day to help clean some stuff up. The teacher leaves the room for 5 minutes, and that cabinet key is just sitting there on the desk. So he opens it slow and carefully.
Opening it slow and carefully.
Inside were stacks and stacks of goldfish cracker boxes. No art supplies, no ancient masterpieces, just enough frickin' goldfish crackers to feed a small country. When the teacher comes back in, Riley asks, "Cabinet goldfish! Why?" "Oh, it's my favorite snack. I take one handful per class.
And I just munch on them. I love them."
It was just her own personal snack cabinet. Who would have thought? Top 3 pettiest teachers. Number 3. There was a teacher that gave detention for somebody sneezing twice. The first time it was, bless you. The second time, okay, now you're just messing with me. Detention after school today. It was allergy season too, so for the rest of the week, these kids were fighting for their lives. Well, one day at the end of class, his teacher had a sneezing fit. All right, and oh, Miss Johnson, that's 3 sneezes. I guess that means you're suspended, huh? She never gave someone detention for sneezing again. Number 2, this one teacher right before class started one day moved the clock 10 minutes back just because she wanted to disappoint these kids when they started packing up at what they thought was the end of class. All right, you got a couple minutes left. I'm so hyped for lunch. Why are you boys packing up? Oh, miss, we only got 2 minutes of class left. Somebody check their phone. What the heck? That's right, I tampered with the clock. We have 10 minutes. It's time for group reading. That's just diabolical. Number 1 pettiest teacher. There was a teacher who failed the kid for using blue ink on a test. The problem was, she was the same teacher that lent him the pen. So you see, a kid forgot one. He asked, "Yo, can I borrow something for the test?" "Sure, here you go." She gave him a blue pen. Well, you see, in the syllabus, she had a rule where you weren't allowed to take a test with a blue pen. It had to be black. So he finishes the test, hands it in, and gets a 0. That teacher just wanted him to fail. And that's messed up. It's 2 weeks till senior graduation. That kid decides he's gonna pull a prank that nobody will ever forget. Most senior pranks involve balloons, sticky notes, baby oil. Well, this dude somehow gets his hands on an actual beehive. It was in my backyard. I put it in the trash bag. And his genius plan is to bring it to school and release it. Okay, well, that's actually so dangerous. Like, I'm trying to figure out what the punchline's supposed to be here. Kid with a bee allergy having to be taken to the hospital? Who knows? He ties up the garbage bag that the beehive's in and he throws it over his shoulder. And he gets on the bus, mister. He's thrown on the bus, everything's fine at first. Then a kid noticed a bee. "Oh God, there's a bee in here." Then there was another one. "Oh God, there's another bee in here." Then another, then another, then another. The senior kid is like, "Oh my God!" The bees had buzzed their way through this garbage bag, and now the beehive is open. The next 30 seconds were complete and utter craziness. Kids screaming, people hiding underneath the bus seats, but everybody was getting stung. And yes, there were kids in the bus that were allergic to bees, and yes, they had to go to the hospital. The funny part is, when the bus driver first noticed all these bees, he put the bus in park and left the bus. But then he realized he's in charge of these kids. "I gotta go back." And he drives the bus to a nearby hospital, and they take it from there. But they found out who brought the beehive in, and he wasn't able to graduate. But that makes sense, because what a dumb prank. It's first grade and this kid's at a school assembly. The whole school is there. It's a very small school, kindergarten through 12th grade. And it's some educational assembly, like the frickin' Wiggles, trying to get students to learn in fun ways. Actors singing and dancing, they're trying way too hard to make learning look fun. And that's a rhombus. Well, this kid is barely paying attention. Because the night before this, he was watching Spider-Man cartoons, and he was thinking about an episode. So he's half asleep when one of the actors asks, "All right, students, who sailed the ocean blue in 1492? Well, this kid's friend elbows him. He's messing with him. "Hey, bro, she called on you." So he raises his hand.
Okay.
She says, "Okay, what's the answer?" "What's the question?" "Who sailed the ocean blue in 1492? And instead of actually thinking about it, he said the first thing that comes to his mind. "Norman Virgil Osborne." No. Dead silence. Everyone's confused. Then one of the older kids says, "Did he just answer that question with the Green Goblin? That's hilarious!" And then suddenly the entire school starts cheering him on. They push him down to the middle of the gym and they tell him to dance. Dance! 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 They're chanting. The kid has no idea what to do, so he just busts a move. It was horrible. He was embarrassed and he left the gym. But honestly, that sounds like an awesome assembly. I hate going to the dentist. And if I was this person, I would throw up from embarrassment. Alright, so the person that shared the story, she said it was the first time seeing her new dentist. He was working on her teeth and he says something like, "You're doing great. I know it's always weird having a stranger work on your teeth for the first time, but you're doing great." To which she responds, "Oh, you're not a stranger. You've been inside my mouth for 20 minutes now." His face got so red and he was immediately embarrassed, and she was mortified. What did she say? Why did she say that? She did not intend to make a raunchy joke like that. Well, her dentist remained professional. He finished the appointment, and she left. A couple months passed, and now it was time for her second appointment with this dentist. And she told herself that she was going to be on her best behavior. She wasn't even going to say a word to him. She's in the dentist chair, he's working on her teeth, and all of a sudden, he gets very uncomfortable and red in the face. And she's like, "What did I do? I didn't even say anything." Well, it turns out, her dentist was wearing flavored gloves, and she had been absent-mindedly licking his fingers the entire time, and she didn't even know it. After that, she never went to that dentist ever again. This teacher had a student that was obnoxious, and anytime she tried to punish him for it, he didn't care. If he got his attention, he would come back smiling. If she called home, He did not care. He liked lunch detentions. He asked to be suspended. Nothing worked, and the kid knew it, and still every single day he would come to class and just be annoying for the sake of it.
Limu, lamu, limu, lamu, limu, lamu, limu.
Oh my god, I hate my life. And if he wasn't making weird limu lamu noises, he'd be tapping pencils, humming, kicking the desk, driving everybody insane. One day the teacher snaps. Hey, what do I have to do to make you stop this? Kid thinks about it for a second and then he says this. Bring me stuff. What stuff? Candy? Snacks? Whatever. Now that's absolutely ridiculous. But the teacher was desperate because she's tried everything. There's no punishing this kid. He just doesn't care. So the next day she shows up with a pack of gum. Hey, here, I brought you this. Thanks. And the transformation is immediate. The kid sits down. He's silent. He does his work. He raises his hand. He's absolutely perfect, and the teacher can't frickin' believe it. Then, the next day, she forgets to bring him something. And immediately,
Limu, lamu, limu, lamu, limu.
right back to it. And according to the students, she stopped everything she was doing, left the room, ran to the vending machine, and came back carrying 4 bags of mini Chips Ahoy cookies. The kid looked at them, took them, nodded, and went right back to behaving super well. The student trained the teacher to bring him stuff so he wouldn't be annoying. Honestly, kid's a legend. You ever go to a neighborhood garage sale and see somebody selling a vintage camera for like $5 when it's actually worth $500? Most people just let it happen, but not this kid. Yeah. He's 13, he's got a tablet, and he's running an appraisal firm in his neighborhood. You see, these families near his house, they have garage sales all the time, and they have no idea what they're selling. They're just clearing out their attics. Then the lowballers show up. Oh, that's a big box of Pokemon cards. How much? Oh, you can have them for $5, sweetie. Perfect. Well, you see, that's when the auditor would show up. He would walk up to a neighbor's garage sale and say, I don't want any of your money. I just want 10% of the extra cash you make. He then pulls out his tablet and he starts appraising every single item that these people are selling. He would check on eBay to see the realistic price. Sir, this camera's worth $200 and you're selling it for $3. What? Oh my god, really? That's so good to know. Imagine a guy trying to pay $5 for an old dusty lamp. Yeah, that sounds fair. Actually, that's a mid-century original lamp. It sold for $85 yesterday on eBay. You can have it for $60. People pay. By the end of the day, he would make $100 in commission without having to sell a single item. And the neighbors he's helping are so grateful. And honestly, I never thought about this, but it's genius. And this time, I definitely gotta say, respect the hustle. This is out of control. When this neighbor's 16-year-old daughter crashes her bike into his car, hey, what the heck? She immediately gets off, starts crying, and calls her mom. The scratch looks awful at first, but he takes it to a shop, and after a few minutes of buffing, it comes right out. No big deal. So he tells this girl and her mom, don't even worry about it. It was an accident. And he thinks that's the end of it. A couple days later, the mom texts him, my daughter still feels terrible, and she wants to apologize properly. Can we bring you over a cake? He says, sure. That sounds nice. Everybody loves cake. So they show up that evening, and this 16-year-old girl is holding a cake. The mom is standing a few feet behind her with a phone out. The girl starts apologizing. Here, again, I'm so very sorry. I take full responsibility for the scratch and for crashing into your car. Mom's behind her filming. Speak louder, sweetie. I take full responsibility. Okay. The mom then whispers, go ahead, now ask him if he accepts your apology. But that's when he notices the phone. Wait, stop. Are you recording this? Yeah, I'm gonna post it online. It's gonna teach a bunch of kids to take responsibility for their actions. Like, what? I can even blur your face if you want. He looks at the girl and says, I accepted your apology the day it happened. Then turns to the mom and says, yeah, I'm not doing your stupid video. The mom immediately gets irritated, starts arguing with him. Oh my gosh, you couldn't even let us finish? Let us do the video? Then he just walks back inside. What a weird apology. Because it wasn't for him or for the daughter. It was for the camera. The mom, I guess, wanted to go viral. Jeez.
কিভাবে খবর পায় ওরা আমরা আসার আগে আগে সেইটা খোঁজো নাইলে সিন্ডিকেট ধরা যাবে না চলো সামনের দিকে চলো
200 টাকা
হ্যাঁ এটা তো দেখেই বুঝতেছি একদম সেম কেস আমাদের রোগী যে বাঁচবো সেই আশা এই হাসপাতালের সামনে ম্যাক্সিমামই কিন্তু ভাই দালাল এক রোগ হইব আর পাঠাইবো আরেক ডাক্তারের কাছে চল
একটু দাঁড়ান আমাকে একটু লইয়ে যান মোরা তো চিনি না টাকা পয়সা আছে
মারে ওষুধ কিনতে টাকা লাগে না আর আমাদের যা হওয়ার তো আম্মা হয়েই গেছে খারাপ কত বন্ধু বান্ধব মেডিকেলে চান্স পাইনি এর তো কোনো কথা ছিল না।
এই হাসপাতালে কয়টা পিএইচডি করা ডাক্তার আছে তাতে সন্দেহ আছে, আমি যে পিএইচডি করা বাট পারে তো কোনো সন্দেহ না।
মনে হয় খেপে ব্যস্ত আছে, হইতে পারে আশপাশে মনে হয় কোন জানি বুঝাইতে আছে। আমার কামান করি
না দাদা, আমাকে ভুল আছে অনেক। এই যে লোকগুলো আমরা ঠিক করছি।
কথা কইছ না, যে যেরকম আছে থাক, কাম করতে থাকবে না।
দাদা এর মধ্যে আজকে আবার সমস্যায় কও দেই।
বুঝো না কিছু নেশা ও দুই ঠিকানা বিলীন হয় সীমানা।
এখনো হয়নি, আগামী সপ্তাহে জানতে পারবো।
আচ্ছা অসুবিধা নাই, যদি আপনার এখানে না।
আসো, তুমি এরকম মুড অফ হয়ে থাকলে কেমন ভালো লাগে বলো?
একজন মানুষকে চেনার জন্য তার সাথে অনেক দিন ধরে মেলামেশা করার প্রয়োজন হয় না।
মা, তোর একটা কথা বলি।
কি কথা বাবা?
এই বিয়ে তো প্রায়
করতাম, সেটা অন্য বিষয়, কিন্তু এখন তো সিরিয়াস হওয়া উচিত, তাই না?
তোমার বাসার অ্যাড্রেস বলো, কত নাম্বার সেক্টর?
শুভ সাহেব, আমি বলছি, দেখেন
নাও, যদি তোমার ইচ্ছে করে তুমি চাকরি করবা।
হয় না। আব্বাও যে আমাদের এভাবে ছেড়ে চলে যাবে।
বোমে মরিচ,
খুব ভালো হয়।
বোমে মরিচ দেন। দেখতো ফুচকাটা হলো কিনা।
একটু নেন না।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, মামা আসুক তারপর শুরু করি।
আমরা সবাই মিলে তোরে মাফ করে দিল, আল্লাহ তাআলা তোর জীবনও মাফ করে।
সুস্থ মানে হ্যাঁ নাচবেন না, কোনো বিবেকবান সুস্থ
কারণ এরকম ব্যবহার করছিল ওই দিন।
পানিটা খাও। আহা বসতে দে, বসেন না। রিক্সার ব্যাটারি ডাউন হয়ে গেছে।
বসেন বসেন। কি
মা, তুমি এসব চিন্তা করো কেন?
এক নাম্বারই দিছি, তোমার আম্মা ভালো হয়ে যাবে। চল।
ধন্যবাদ। একটা মিনিট, আপনি মেডিকেলেরই কিছু একটা ব্যবসা করেন?
তুই জানো না কি করে?
কিছু খাবা না?
আপনার কথা শেষ করেন, তারপর খাবেন।
আসতে পারলি না?
কাম কাজ গুছাইছো কিছু?
না, তুমি গুছাইছো?
আমিও তো কিছু গুছাইতে পারিনি।
নতুন ডাইরেক্টর আইছে, আইছে পর বলে মেডিকেলের অবস্থা ভালো, পাবলিক সব দেই হেনে যায়।